Hi, this is Kevin Deal from Upscale Audio, and today we're going to talk about Marantz, which is so dear to my heart. I got to tell you something. Before we get into this, we're going to do the unboxing video, and we actually did unbox the consolette anyway, but for whatever reason, we could not film that, and I apologize. That doesn't matter because it's here as brand new, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But I do want to say two things. I got a guy, people have been so nice to me over the years, and I freaking love our customers. And I'm going to say thanks to the guy that got us this, and another guy named James with a last initial V, who is high on my cool guy list. And he called me up one day and he said, guess what? The license plate that spells tubes is available. And I was going to get it, but I thought, you should really have it. And I could not frickin' believe it. And it's on my Alfa Romeo. I'll show you a picture right here. That's one dude. This is another guy. Ron M. I get this email kind of outside of nowhere. And it says, Marantz Model 2 and preamp new. Never used in box. If you have interest, the sale is August 29th at noon. I like what you have to say about stuff. And then he puts his name and his phone number. And so I go, what? You know, and I'll tell you what, I go, oh my God, you know, and I called the guy up, Ron, and I said, well, why don't you just buy it? And he goes, well, you know, look, he goes, I like your YouTube channel, and I really thought that you should have it. And this guy helped me because he bid on my behalf. I ended up paying for it. He helped getting it boxed and sent it to me. And it's now in our museum at the Upscale Audio retail store. And then I'm so happy to share it with you and maybe tell you a little bit why I call this the beginning of high fidelity, at least to me. You know, when we talk about the beginnings, we could talk about companies like Fisher. We could talk about Scott or even Macintosh. And I've got all that stuff. I got all kinds of things up in the rafters at Upscale Audio. I've got a pair of Macintosh MI 200s. Take a look at these things. Show you a picture. This is some crazy ass shit, you know, but that could be considered the beginning of hi-fi. You could go back to Western Electric, but for me, I love early Marantz products because I love the way that they sound. They just click with me. I even like the solid state stuff. I've got a 2600 receiver. Maybe you've never seen one before, but I think I'm going to do a video on that coming up soon. So what's happening here, right? I suspect that the guy that bought these pieces, let me tell you what we have. This is the consolette. This was their very, very first product, period. They first called it the consolette, then they renamed it the Model 1. And this was considered by a lot of people to be state-of-the-art, and it is really what launched the company. Saul Marantz designed it himself, apparently, where all great things start, which would be in your kitchen on a kitchen table. And then he's people wanted to buy him, and he made a run of 100 units, and people said, hell yeah. And that's where it all took off. It is a mono preamp because that's what high fidelity was back then. It was mono. This was before stereo. But it does allow you to play, I think, 36 different combinations of long play and super long play records. So this was for the real hardcore vinyl lover that was going to be playing all different types of formats of vinyl. It uses 3 tubes in it, as I recall. I think it's a 12AX7, which is probably for gain, then a pair of 12AU7s. And then what's really cool is it has an outboard power supply. And that leads me to a letter that I found. Apparently, the preamp box had been opened before, even though the preamp didn't get used. And there's a letter in here from Marantz Company on 2514 Broadway, and it says, Mr. E.F. Kernick, we'll show you the letter here. The audio consolette will operate equally well, mounted in any orientation. In order to prevent hum pickup, the small power supply chassis should be mounted away from the left side of the preamp or the tubes, and so on and so forth, right? Keep it away, keep the power supply away from everything. They're very, very, very smart back then. But I mean, look at this thing. I've got another one of these in my collection, but I've never seen one that is new before. You look at the back, and all the RCA jacks are new. It has a preliminary owner's manual. That's how cool this unit is. So it isn't even a regular owner's manual. I think we're going to see if I can track one down. But this one is called a temporary instruction sheet. How cool is that? Oh my God. There's a warranty card in here. Here's a schematic. And I forget what this is. Anyway, look, this is cooler than hell. Now, this is as exciting as that. This is even more exciting to me. This is the Marantz Model 2. And I have wanted one of these for years. And I've looked and I've looked and I've looked. And I finally did score one from a Prima Luna dealer. And it looked, what happens with these is they rust. They rust, just like old Macintosh, rust. And these don't hold up well. The Model 8s had a tendency to hold up, but the Model 2s, the finish didn't seem to hold up. Anyway, I looked for years and years, and I finally did get one that is not in new condition, but pretty damn close, except for the meter is kind of dark. But this meter is brand new. This thing is brand new. Look at it. This is a 40-watt push-pull mono power amp running a pair of EL34s. But the bitchin' thing, there's two very, very cool features about this. And one of them is that you can flip a mechanical switch and go from ultra linear, which was like the most modern design of the day, to push-pull triode, which would give it kind of a warmer presentation. And what's cool about that is the same thing that Prima Luna put into their amplifiers, the ability to switch from triode to ultralinear on the fly. And just like a Prima Luna, this is running a pair of EL34s, but they did something else. And this is something I'd love to see in a Prima Luna, but I don't know if it can be done because there's so many other things going on. But this has adjustable negative feedback. And negative feedback is not a bad word. Almost every tube amplifier is going to have some degree of negative feedback, or else they can become unstable. There's a lot of good reasons to have a little bit. You want to just keep things tight or tighter, but with this one, you can add how much of that you choose. How cool is that? What else about it? This was the predecessor to the Model 5. All they did really, I think the Model 5 was the same amp as the Model 2, except they made it where it could be orientated. They just kind of turned it around because stereo was starting to happen. And then the idea of having a center speaker was starting to happen. All of these things, they wanted people to be able to buy a pair of them or even three of them if they were running a Klipsch, center channel, a Heresy in the middle of their K-horns. How cool is that? I freaking love it. You know what they say about people? They say a young man wants to leave home and an old man wants to go home. And I agree with that. When I listen to old music in my car, it makes me feel like I'm 16 years old again. When I mess around with these things or an old Marantz receiver or that old sensor, I'm going to do a video on that. You want a story? Keep an eye out for what I tell you about that Sensui 9090 dB and what really sounded a lot better than that was tube. Ugh. Anyway, this kind of stuff just gets me excited. It's fun. It needs to be cherished. This is the DNA that brought us to where we are today and why I continue to love tube amplifiers today. Let me show you one more thing and we're going to hang up. Ta-da! I even got a cage with this amplifier, right? I mean, How cool is that? Oh my God. And look at the tubes. I forgot to mention these. These are Amperex Bugle Boy, dated 1958, brand frickin' new, perfect, never been used. And I just dig it, man. So anyway, if you come by the store, we're gonna have these on display for you. Or if you ever come to, I mean, that kind of stuff has got to be cherished. I also have some other crazy things. I got a sealed in the box. I did open the box, but I didn't take the amp out. I got a 1960s vintage Macintosh MC 275. How cool is that? I mean, it's kind of funny. I love finding new old stock stuff. Look, if you want to come and buy some stuff, that's of course what we do for a living. But my salespeople are all as enthusiastic about this as I am. They're not car dudes, car salesmen, I mean, that's not what they are. They work here because they dig this stuff like I do. And because of that, they're not on commission and they will help you out. At Upscale Audio, we're going to treat your system like it's ours. Thanks.